And of course, Mr. Schreier and his crew have been very busy. And they've now got to the point, and this is a Kia, not a Hyundai. If you remember, even 8, 9 years ago, Kia were making tiny little tin boxes that nobody took seriously. And what falls out of all that investment and that faith in design is that in every global market, apart, strangely, from India, they've doubled their market share in about 10 years. Their brand is currently valued above that of Porsche, which actually shocked me. But if you want to go and not buy the company, but buy the brand, you'd have to pay more for it than if you were going to go and buy Porsche. And their brand value has increased by 25% since 2009, and it goes on and on. So the point is, if you look at where they've come from, and I'm not underestimating the brilliant engineering and the engine design and all the rest of it, but it is unarguable that they would be where they'd be in terms of business performance had they not invested so heavily in design and in talent. This is just a bit of a two-slide funny one, but this is about, I'd say, the importance of emotional design and actually designers having confidence in their instincts and in what they're trying to do. So if you're a product planner at an automotive company and someone said to you, I want you to spend maybe $1 billion building an SUV, but it's a wee bit too small and there's no room for golf clubs. That product planner would say, there's no way I'm signing the ticket. An SUV that won't let you put a golf club in the back, full set of golf clubs, is never going to pay because who's going to buy it? Well, the Evoque story is a very strong story, only in the sense that despite some of those functional paradoxes, the design team, Jeremy McGovern and co., absolutely stuck to their guns and said, I'm not going to change the proportion. No, I'm not going to raise the roofline even by 5 mil, because this is the car that we know Victoria Beckham, who doesn't play golf, of course, right? That's the car that people like her want to buy, and that's our future customer. So that's a good example of design having to have the confidence to actually fight that fight with product planners, with money people, and all the rest of it, to say the only way this design is going to work and be really successful is if we keep it pure. And of course, I mean, this doesn't happen in every case, but in this case, they can't keep up with demand. So they're selling every Evoque they can. Teeny story on a project that we did for LG. They still actually have a problem in the sense that connecting with enough premium customers across a country as big as India is a real issue for them. And opening premium level stores in every single metro and tier 1 and tier 2 and putting product in there for people to come and see is just not feasible. So we suggested to them that they put it on a bus, which in the first place might sound a bit of a random idea. But what we did is design and build a kind of a looky-likey high-end apartment into a bus, made sure the AC worked, made sure there was an operating fridge, and we loaded it up with LG products. And in the past 8 months, the bus has covered nearly completely 4 of the main states in India, and they've had 40,000 plus premium buyer footfalls. So that simple bit of design thinking that maybe we can think about retail, even in the premium segment, and even with quite big products, has been a massive benefit to them. Let's say much less glamorous than cars or Range Rover Evoques. This is a piece of work that actually we did some years ago now, but the story is still a very strong one. Horlicks as a brand was actually in some trouble, and GSK asked us if we could find a way of reanimating or rebuilding the brand. And one of the strategic ideas was actually to focus it more on kids because of health benefits and so on. And yes, of course, there was very good marketing campaign and sell-through at retail, but the pack and the graphics was, I would say, key in getting children to buy into this product. And in terms of performance, that meant in this category, they went from nowhere to about a 300 crore business in 2 years. So, and another even simpler example from the FMCG segment, this client wanted some cost down on their deodorant products. And we looked at all the different ways that we could do that, whether it was the can, changing the way the graphics are done, etc. And the conclusion was very simple. Why don't we just save some plastic on the overcap, the thing that should go on the top of the product? So that red thing at the top there was a very smart actuator that meant even when the cans are in transit, you wouldn't get any gassing off. Basically, one can won't set the other one off underneath it. But, and this is, again, a kind of salutary tale about the point about completeness when you're using design, we handed off the 3D data for that cap to a toolmaker, and essentially the client wouldn't continue to let us be involved. And guess what? They goofed it up and it didn't work properly. So right at the last fence, they decided, I know what we'll do, put a cap back on it. So that whole cycle of activity and innovation to reduce cost and reduce waste, in a sense, fell apart because literally at the last minute, the job was not completed properly. Now, so if companies want to take design seriously and they want to take innovation seriously, they have to follow through and do it properly. There's only a couple more examples, don't worry. It doesn't just work with big companies. So of course it's perhaps easy to give a Hyundai or a JLR example because they've got lots of money. This is was a little company that we worked with about 2.5 years ago, and this was his range of products. So he was an NRI that came back and set up an enterprise in India, building actually very good quality white label products that were branded by people like Siemens in Europe and other companies in Japan. And like a good ambitious entrepreneur, he said, actually I want my own brand and I want to start being able to charge more for a higher value product. So he approached us and he said, I've noticed in the market that digital clamp meters, which basically electricians use to find out how much current's going through a supply board, I've noticed that my competitors are putting little digital displays onto the clamp meters. Please, can you do me one of those? So he said, okay, but just hang on a second, because what you're telling us is you can't sell your product profitably for less than about 2,000 rupees, and the market is already full of either some quite good quality product, but an awful lot of looky-likey from China and other places that are selling for less than 1,000 rupees. Are you sure you want to do this product? No problem, we can do it for you and we'll take some fees. And he said, wait, you're right, that might be a stupid thing to do because that product is already there in the market. So we did some research, and I'm not going to go through this in huge detail, understood what the issues were for the people in the field that actually use these things. And then, here we are again, design thinking. We did some thinking. And that funny, rather rough-looking sketch at the bottom right was the birth of this idea that perhaps we could have a clamp that would allow the user to use it at any angle. And then we did some doing and built some prototypes, and we did some making and iterating of that design, and we helped them protect it. So if you can see on the date, that was early 2011 that was granted a patent on this product. Now, to the point about committing, there were certain things on this product that were going to cost him a lot of money. And he could easily have said, you know what, I'll get some cheap tools made. I'm not interested in rubber over molds or using the right kind of LCD. But he didn't do that because he knows what he's doing. And he actually commissioned the tooling in India, and in Germany, and he let a German company run off the first 15,000, 20,000 pieces. He sent his team over there for about a month to make sure they knew exactly how this thing had to be done. And when he was sure that his team could do it right, he then moved the tooling and everything back to India. And the outcome of that is he's now selling under his own brand across Europe, but his original target market in Germany that would never have looked at him as a brand before, because of his innovation and because he's executed the product properly, he's now selling in Germany. In fact, somebody told me yesterday he's recently bought 2 Austrian companies. So, example of actually a very teeny company who used design in the right way and didn't give up, who's now buying up Austrian companies. So it doesn't just have to be mega cores. Very small SMEs, if they do it right, can also benefit from design. So just have a brief look at this bit of video. My colleague Rahul tells me that the Mahindra team are here and they've accepted an award for this piece of work, which, as ever, was a joint effort between designer and customer or client. But this story is really about how it isn't just in the physical, but there's lots of innovation in the digital domain that can save waste. So this project is all about minimizing the need to print off hundreds of thousands of physical sales booklets to sell earth-moving equipment, which was very time-consuming and quite costly and quite wasteful, and putting all of that content into the digital domain. So it now means that M&M's sales teams, first of all, they've got a multilingual presentation on a tablet or a laptop. Secondly, there's animation, there's lots of rich content that will sell the product in a better way. And the final solution is more efficient and essentially is more eco. So once again, we have to thank our client for having the vision to support this bit of work, and it's a very good piece of communication design. So, final point, I mentioned at the beginning that we have made a move into branding design, and I'm happy to announce that we recently, let's say, concluded an exclusive partnership with a company called Brush Brands, who operate from London, Dubai, and Singapore. And essentially, we think it's important to join the industrial design bit of what we do with very high-end branding services, because that's another way that we can make sure that companies grow. And I only have one example from the world of brand, and this has come from John's company, from Brush Brands company. Simply by undertaking a piece of very high-quality branding work for a property in South Africa, if you look at that number on the right there, within, I think, about a year, the book asset value of that property, which was a hotel that was failing, had gone up by about $20 million. So the application of really high quality, in this case, branding design, I think he charged $150,000 in fee, turned into $20 million increase in the asset value of that property. So the little quote from, you probably can't see it, from Blackstone Private Equity Group was, you know, it's a no-brainer. We'll do this again and again if that's the power of design. So I'll conclude maybe answering the, excuse me, the question about how to sort of bridge this gap between design thinking and design doing. For me, it's really simple. Designers need to commit a little bit more to thinking about the businesses that they're serving, right? It can't be designed for its own sake, because actually that's art, I suppose. So designers taking a more serious approach to how they're going to help a business, but the converse is definitely true as well. Business also needs to commit to design. So if business doesn't take it seriously, invest the right amount of money, and push all that design thinking all the way through to the end, then frankly, there's a good chance that nothing will happen. And that's it. Thank you.